Hello, my name is LWilliams. This is my second time making a presentation for CRC 605, California International University. This time I'm introducing my testing for visualization hypothesis testing. The, we're going to start with the introduction, which is what we're doing now, followed up by the hypothesis 1 through 6. After finish that, we're going to talk about important takeaways, and then we'll end with the conclusion. Okay. Before I start off with the first hypothesis, I could say that my experience with PPSP was a mixed bag. The online version that was given to us for my classroom was wonky to say the least. It took me a couple of days to get things straight, and I wasn't even sure I was able to finish it before my deadline. So it was a challenge. I would recommend you doing it other ways instead of doing things the hard way like I did. But in either case, we're going to start by the income and savings correlation. So the null hypothesis is there is no correlation between income and savings. The alternative hypothesis is that there is a correlation between income and savings. After I did the testing for this, for correlation, my correlation value was 0.91, which is very close to a pure positive correlation. And the p-value here was 0, which is the lowest you can get. Therefore, the test rejected the null hypothesis, and we can conclude that there is a very strong correlation between the income and savings value. Next up was income and stocks. The null hypothesis here was that there was no correlation between income and stocks. The alternative hypothesis is that there is a correlation between income and stocks. When we did testing, we seen that there was a correlation value of 0.19. That means that there is a positive correlation, but it's not that strong. But it's enough to say that there is a correlation, especially since the p-value is 0.018, which is significantly less than the alpha value of 0.05 that we use for this class along with most real-life testing. Therefore, the test rejected the null hypothesis, and we should conclude that there is a somewhat weak correlation between the income and stock values. Next stop is income and wallet. The null hypothesis in this case was there was no correlation between income and wallet. The alternative hypothesis there is a correlation between income and wallet. When we did the testing, we found out that the correlation value is a solid 1, which means this is a pure positive correlation here, which is if you see a visual aid like a scatter plot, it's going to just be it's almost like 1 to 1 on a trend line, and the p-value here is 0. So we can conclude that the null hypothesis is rejected, and that there's a very strong correlation between the income and the wallet values. Next up is savings and stock. Um, the null hypothesis in this case is there is no correlation between savings and stock. The alternative hypothesis is that there is a correlation between savings and stock. The correlation coefficient in this case was 0.28, which is strong, not the weakest correlation we have so far, but it's not as strong as a pure positive correlation. But it's enough to reject the null hypothesis, especially since the p-value is 0. We can conclude that there is a correlation between the savings and stock values. Okay, wallet and savings. The null hypothesis there is no correlation between savings and wallet. The alternative hypothesis is that there is a correlation between savings and wallet. In this case, our correlational coefficient was 0.91, which is very high and very close to a pure positive correlation. The p-value is going to be is 0 here, and so it's enough to say that the hypothesis has been rejected, and we can conclude that there is a pretty strong relation between savings and wallet values with the data sample that we were using. Okay, final hypothesis here was wallet in stock, which would show a significant correlationship. I want to emphasize the fact that all the tests I'm talking about showed a significant correlation between them. We're not hitting anything that in which the null hypothesis was retained. In this case, for wallet and stock, the null hypothesis, but there was no correlation between wallets and stock. And the alternative correlation hypothesis that there is correlation between the wallet and stock. Our correlation coefficient in this case was 0.19, which is not that high, but it's enough to say that it is a correlation. And the p-value is 0.017, which is definitely low enough to say that the null hypothesis was rejected. And we can conclude that there is it's a weak but decent correlation between the wallets and stock value. Now, let's go and see what we talked about when we talk about strong correlation and weak correlation. To do this, we're going to use a scatter plot. This is the results I have for the wallets and stocks, and another scatter plot for the wallets and savings. And as you can see, there is a significant difference. In both cases, there is a positive correlation between the two quantities, but in this case, the second one with the wallet and savings is significantly a lot higher. You can see there's a much more defined trend line uh, going up compared to the first scatter plot with the wallets and stock. So using scatter plots, it gives a great visual aid to show how these relationships are defined. Um, the important takeaways here is that the non-hypothesis states that there is not a significant correlation between two distinctive populations. Null hypothesis is retained if the correlation value, or R, is not significantly different than zero. In this case, we didn't have anything that, which is the null hypothesis was retained. The alternative hypothesis that it states that there is a correlation between two distinctive populations. This can be positive or negative. Even though we did not have any negative correlations in the tests that we did, the term hypothesis for a correlation can be positive or negative relationship, as we said, and a scatter plot is a great visualization tool for showing correlations between populations. Of course, if we had some scatter plot on something that had no significant correlation, you would just see points all over the place. But for ones where it's closer to one or negative one for the coefficient, there is a big difference, as we saw earlier. This is the conclusion here. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please post a comment on my YouTube page. It's great having you again. Hope you see that there's having improvements. If you have any questions, you know how to get to me. Have a wonderful day.